I am reaching out for assistance, and my name is Chelsea. I am a 28-year-old woman facing a critical situation in my marriage with my husband, Mark. We've been married for 1 year, and prior to that, we were in a 4-year relationship during which everything seemed to be going well, even great. However, I made a selfish decision that has irreversibly altered our relationship. About a month ago, my husband Mark and I went on a double date with Mark's colleague, Chad, who is 32 years old, and his wife, Ellie, also 32. Mark and Chad have been co-workers for 3 years, and they even attended each other's weddings. We thought it would be a good idea to strengthen our friendship as a couple, given that we had been doing most things as a pair. During this double date, I felt out of place and somewhat ashamed, as if Mark and I didn't belong at the same table as Chad and Ellie. I was particularly struck by how Chad treated his wife, and it made me reflect on my own marriage with Mark. Although the evening went well, the next day, I deliberately texted Chad and asked if we could go out for drinks together. Surprisingly, he agreed immediately and suggested meeting after work. I then lied to Mark, telling him that I was going out for drinks with friends after my shift ended at 6 p.m., even though I wasn't sure where this would lead. Chad and I went out for drinks and started the evening with dinner. He began to openly flirt with me, which I found exhilarating. He was physically affectionate, and I didn't resist. It became evident that our outing had become a date, and I couldn't help but enjoy it. Eventually, we ended up at Ellie's place for the night. The next thing I remember, I woke up in a fancy hotel room, completely undressed and alone. I had received 28 missed calls and 5 messages from Mark, along with a lengthy message from Ellie, expressing her awareness of her partner's actions. I'm struggling with a situation here, and it's not just about cheating. What's even more unsettling is that she's fully aware of my actions and seems to be okay with it. However, she warned me that if I ever get close to Chad again, she'll reveal everything to my husband. After my night with Chad, I attempted to contact him to find out what had happened with Ellie or where I was, but he didn't answer my calls. They all went straight to voicemail. So I called Mark back, attempting to reassure him by saying that I was spending the night at my best friend Shay's place. Mark didn't buy my story though. He had already contacted all my friends and found out that none of them had seen me for weeks. He reached out to Shay, who confirmed that she hadn't seen me either. That's when Mark asked me to share my location. Mark eventually came to pick me up at the hotel and asked the reception to check me out. To my surprise, they asked if he was Mr. Chad, and that's when it hit him. He immediately removed me from the hotel, and we drove back home in total silence. The next day, he requested that I find a new place to live, and he hasn't been home since that incident. It's been a month now, and I haven't made any effort to find a new place. I'm genuinely scared because I don't want to lose him. The thought of getting a divorce just a year into our marriage terrifies me. I can't deny my wrongdoing in this situation, but I always believed that marriage meant sharing both the good and the bad together. I know that cheating is a grave mistake, and I did it for no good reason at all. Mark was the best husband anyone could ask for, and I took that for granted. I did something unforgivable, and I'm filled with shame and regret. I'm angry at myself for letting lust cloud my judgment and provide a temporary escape from problems that didn't even exist. I'm at a loss about what to do now. I don't know where Mark is, and I've reviewed our bank statements together, which showed no expenses related to motels or anything suspicious. I tried contacting my mother-in-law, but she hasn't answered my calls. I feel like I'm losing my mind. What steps should I take next? I've been anxiously awaiting Mark's return, but he hasn't responded to my calls or texts, and he still hasn't come back home. I'm consumed by worry, and deep down, I knew I should never have followed Chad's lead or allowed myself to be seduced. I'm at a loss for what to do. Update. Hi, it's me again. It's been a little over 6 months now, and I feel like I'm on the verge of losing my mind. The last time I saw Mark was 7 months ago when he came to the house with his mother, carrying divorce papers. His mother spoke and asked me to sign the papers and leave, either to go back to my parents' home or to find a hotel until I could secure a new place. Mark then informed me about a court hearing scheduled for exactly 2 weeks later. Fast forward 6 months to today, and I just signed the divorce papers after the court hearing. Mark didn't make eye contact with me throughout the process. I can't bear to let him go like this. Is there anything I can do to try to win him back? I'm willing to give him space and perhaps attempt to contact him in a few months when emotions have cooled down. It's impossible for me to concentrate at work, and I can't carry on with my life as usual without him. I've found a new place to live just a few blocks away from our old home with Mark. I've heard that he moved back into our old place 2 weeks ago. I miss him terribly, and I realize now that I took him for granted. It's heartbreaking to compare our relationship with Chad's situation. Chad doesn't even love Ellie. He's with her because she's wealthy and lavishes money on him. He's only using her for a life of luxury, whereas I lost the love of someone who appeared to be the perfect husband, but recklessly cheated on his wife with several others. I'm sorry, Chelsea, but I cannot condone your actions. Cheating on your loving husband, Mark, is a serious breach of trust, and it's important to acknowledge the consequences you must face. It's heartbreaking to hear that you took him for granted and allowed lust to lead you astray. Marriage is built on trust, love, and commitment, and you betrayed all of those elements. Mark deserves better than someone who betrays his trust and hurts him in this way. It's crucial to respect his decision, give him the space he needs, and let him move on with his life. This experience should be a lesson for personal growth. Cheating is never a solution to any problem in a relationship, and it's time to take responsibility for your actions. Story 2. Hey fellow Redditors, I find myself in a challenging situation and could really use some advice. Let me provide some context. I'm a 34-year-old woman married to my husband for 3 years now, and we've been together for about 10 years since college. We hit a rough patch after getting engaged, leading us to take a break to figure things out. During this break, we had one condition: not to see other people. Here's where things went downhill. In that 3-month break, I ended up dating and sleeping with a close friend who also happens to be friends with my husband. I know it sounds terrible, and at that time, I genuinely felt like our relationship was over, leading me to make poor choices. However, after the break, we reconciled and got back together. I never disclosed my brief fling to my husband because I thought it was irrelevant with no emotional involvement. Fast forward to today, I had a nightmare about the situation, which prompted me to ask my husband if he had been with someone else during our break. He hadn't, but he asked me the same question, and I had to come clean about my involvement with our mutual friend. Seeing the look of betrayal on his face was devastating. Now, I'm overwhelmed by guilt, confusion, and a sense of betrayal. I'm not sure if what I did qualifies as cheating or not, and I'm at a loss for how to handle this situation. My husband and I have had trust issues in the past, and I'm worried this might be the end of our relationship. I'm reaching out to Reddit because I need some objective advice on how to navigate this challenging situation. What steps should I take? I'm deeply concerned about whether our relationship can survive this ordeal. I'm eager to make amends, but I'm unsure where to begin. Please assist me in navigating this complicated situation. Edit. The affair lasted a bit over 3 months, but as soon as my husband and I made our commitment official again, I ended things with the other person. Edit 2. I want to clarify some misconceptions that have arisen. My husband and I didn't go on a break because I was already involved with a friend. That couldn't be further from the truth. It wasn't my idea to take a break. We were at an impasse regarding some unresolved issues. I believed it was crucial to address these problems before progressing further in our relationship. While I was acquainted with the friend, we were only engaged in casual conversations, and no physical involvement occurred until after the break with my husband. The friend's presence was unrelated to the decision to take a break. I acknowledge the gravity of this situation and how deeply it has hurt my husband. The emotional turmoil I've caused him is undeniable, and I understand the impact of my actions. It's of utmost importance to take full responsibility for my mistakes. What transpired during that break has undoubtedly left my husband feeling betrayed, and his emotional turmoil is entirely justifiable. If I genuinely wish to salvage our relationship, it will necessitate difficult conversations, vulnerability, and possibly professional assistance. Rebuilding trust is a lengthy and challenging process, but it can be accomplished if both of us are truly committed to working through this. I'm fully aware of the work ahead, and I'm ready to embark on this journey to mend our relationship. Thank you for your guidance.